our friend and insider Todd Lewis reported on Tuesday that there was a U.S. Ryder Cup dinner in Philadelphia in which Keegan Bradley invited all 20 players who were ranked in the U.S. current team standings, as well as members of the 2023 U.S. Ryder Cup team and 2024 President's Cup team. Two players who I think were most interesting and compelling who were invited to that dinner and who apparently attended that dinner were Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, both of whom play, of course, for Live Golf. What did you make of that development as it related to the U.S. team dinner?
I don't think it's out of the realm of what the captain should have done based on what Bryson has done the last 2 years, and you wouldn't expect him to slow down. I mean, I think when we were having that conversation about give me the top 6, 7, 8 favorites going into Quail Hollow, Bryson's name is going to be on that list. Just
top 3 favorite for sure.
Yeah. I mean, somewhere up on that list. Brooks, you would expect him. He hasn't exactly had that form in the majors that we've anticipated, but he's been a bit important part about that U.S. team. And I think this goes to what Keegan Bradley has made very clear on numerous occasions, that he's taken the politics out of this. He wants the best 12 players to win the Ryder Cup. He's not going to get bogged down in sort of the optics of what looks right and what doesn't. And I think the game has moved on from that, to be honest with you. The first time it happened, it probably was a little awkward, was probably a little uncomfortable in team rooms and trying to get over the elephant in the room. I don't think we're there anymore. I think we've come to this conclusion, and we've had this conversation just 2 days ago for the podcast on Monday, where we're just on 2 parallel tracks now. And it's probably safe to say that the talks between the two sides, the PGA Tour and Live Golf, and essentially the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, they have stalled, if not stopped, which means that these two tours are just going to be moving along at their own pace on parallel tracks and still remain separate, which means it's up to the rest of the game to figure out how to make sure the best players play in the major championships. We just talked about a pathway, and the best players play on each team, both Europe and the United States. That's going to be Bryson. That's going to be Brooks. And I wouldn't be surprised if another player cropped up from Live Golf.
Yeah, Keegan Bradley has been very clear all the way back to the introductory press conference late last summer that he is going to be putting the 12 best players, regardless of tour affiliation, on that team. Bryson DeChambeau is going to be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team, barring an injury later this season. He's number 4 in the current standings. He's got 4 top 10 finishes in his last 5 major championship starts. He is undoubtedly an asset that you compare with a lot of other American players that would give the Americans their best chance to win. Brooks Koepka is an interesting case. Obviously, he was invited because he was a member of the 2023 U.S. Ryder Cup team when, of course, he was a part of Live, and that was not really a storyline that week in Rome. He's 91st in the current standings, hasn't done anything in the major championships for a year and a half now. He still has friendly relationships with a lot of prospective U.S. team members. But I'm curious to see, particularly as this American squad takes shape, if Brooks does anything either on Live or in the major championships, whether his experience and 4 previous Ryder Cup appearances matters at all to a Keegan Bradley who has played against Brooks Koepka for the better part of a decade now. They may want someone who has been in that arena, who has won on that golf course before the PGA Championship in 2019, if that's going to matter, and whether that could be sort of a deciding factor against a would-be rookie, let's say like a Akshay Bhatia, who might be on the captain's cutoff.
Well, and we just had a long conversation about Billy Horschel being in the captain's room, and maybe he'll want someone with experience to be in one of those vice captain chairs. I think you can make the same argument when it comes to players. And I think when it comes to Brooks, he certainly has the resume to bring him into that situation. He's not going to be bothered by anything that happens inside the ropes at Bethpage. I wonder if he's going to be playing well enough, because I think this kind of applies to the conversation you and I had about Joaquin Niemann, where as well as he has played on Live Golf and other spots around the world, the international series and whatever the case may be, he hasn't played his best golf in the majors. And I think there's an added level of pressure when it comes to the Live players, because they know they only get, in Joaquin's place, 2 or 3, because he rarely plays all 4 majors, chances a year to really prove himself against the best players in the world, all of the best players in the world. To a certain degree, I think that Brooks would probably feel that same thing as well. And you also wonder how he would fit into the team room at this point. At this point, you would start looking at matchups and who are you going to pair Scotty with, and who are you going to pair Xander and Patrick?
Did not work with Scotty and Brooks in Rome. I believe that lost 9 and 7.
It did not. So at that point, as a captain, if you're Keegan, you need to start seeing that, okay, he might be the experience that he wants, but does he check off those other boxes? And I don't know that he does.
Yeah, 6 or 7 major championships in a row now for Brooks Koepka, in which he has been a non-factor in the majors. Hugely important focus for him. Quail Hollow and Oakmont coming up. Needs to play well, I think, if he wants to be on that American team.